Welcome back, everybody, to Ted Talks Guitars and Life. So, it is the morning after the devastating events of the Bondo experiment. And I have collected my thoughts. I have read all of your comments and continued to do a bit of research. So, this is what I have determined and perhaps or discovered, and then help me to determine my plan that might be helpful for you. So one of the key things is that there was some controversy about whether or not you can use sanding sealer as any kind of a filler. So I did some research on that. I listened to some people and some experts kind of in their fields. You can use sanding sealer to fill pores. However, caveat, exception, it takes many coats to use sanding sealer to fill pores. So what has been decided is that I have a product coming hopefully today. By the way, can I just say parenthetically that this thing feels super smooth, man, and I'm not saying the pores are filled. I'm just saying that it feels super smooth. Now, I'm sure if I threw some primer on that bad boy that I'd see pores. So this is what I'm gonna do. I've got grain filler coming. I've got AquaCoat coming. And that works in a similar fashion as sealer. It's kind of liquid. I believe it's water-based. I will show you the application of that. Why not? I show you everything else. And then you can tell on the back that you can still see a lot of the porous activity there. So I also need to pick up some more sandpaper. Yay! So yeah, I've got AquaCoat filler coming. It is liquid and a little squeegee situation and all the things, and I've been watching vids on how to apply it, and I'm hoping that after doing that we will have closed pores. That would be fantastic. And then after we have the closed pores, I believe the next step is then sealer. Now, this, from my understanding, has more to do with the primer connecting to the AquaCoat, and having the sealer may help that. I think it depends upon whether or not you're going to use oil or water-based finish. And so I've got a little bit of thinking to do about that. But the first step, the absolute thing that I've got to nail down on this baby, I've got to close these pores up for good, man. I need to shut that little factory down. Second thing that I've got to tackle on the guitar is I've got to go back to the edges, man. So this is little remains of the day of the Bondo experiment. Now I'll give you this. It's ugly, but the portions where I've really focused on the Bondo is smooth. And then I've just got all kind of ugliness, man. Just all kinds of ugly. So I've got to figure out a better way of sanding the sides well. And again, this has, a little bit of the remains of the Bondo, so I may just need to go back to bare wood on the sides. I'd love to be able to just sand that down, but it seems like, man, when I use any kind of sandpaper of any strength, it's just scratching the daylights out of this thing. And I going with the grain and wearing my protective goggles, you know, doing all the right things. But I just can't seem to sand the sides very well. So thanks, J-Man said in the comment. He said, hey man, if nothing else, you're an expert sander. I said, well, I'm an expert sander now. Well, I'm not an expert in anything, guys. None of this is prescriptive. I'm just one man sharing a journey. But I do know how to flat sand. I can sand the back and the front of a guitar pretty well. Although I did run out of sandpaper last night, so it's not quite perfect. However, that said, what I am still struggling with is the edges, the sides of the guitar. And anyway, well, I've got sandpaper coming. I've got AquaCoat coming today and after work. We'll tackle some stuff. Stick around. Good to have you on the journey with me. Well, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a great day or evening or morning or night or noon or wherever you are, that it was good, man. Well, we are back at it. I'm in my outside paint on the guitar work clothing. So I have been doing research. I have purchased a product, AquaCoat. This is not a sponsored video. They have no idea who I am, nor do they probably care. The instructions say to lightly sand the guitar with 220 grit. What will the ramifications be? I have no idea. I also, just before I hit record, sanded the sides of the guitar with 220 as well. So we are all sanded, we are wiped down. Now, in terms of application, again, the challenge with this guitar is that it has these open pores that I'm trying to close. This stuff has no real potent, smells a little bit like paint, but it's water-based, it's theoretically easy to clean up. So I've seen people do this several ways in terms of application. I've seen people use some kind of squeegee device where you put it on and you kind of force the product into the pores of the guitar. I saw another cat who used a paper towel to do what he did. The consistency is like Noxema or some kind of light cream of some kind. Any kind of cream you have in your medicine cabinet, probably a similar thing. I am trying to go with the grain, and I'm trying not to put 18,000 gallons on here. But oh yeah, that's great. I just got it all jacked up back here. Well, that's ugly. And the wood is standing straight up in places, man. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Well, that's kind of where we are. We're going to let this dry. So, I misspoke earlier when I mentioned that the instructions say 220. It actually says lightly sanded with 320 grit or finer. I was watching somebody earlier today and they used 220, thus my using it. Okay, so yeah, so you guys know I'm prone to overdo things. So I've got some spots here that are a little more robust than others. So I'm going to try to have a very light touch with sanding, which is not my strong suit. And I need to be careful, J-Man, because I don't want to lose my perfect sanding award. And I know I should be going with the grain. So unfortunately, because I used so much, And because my foam block is giving in the middle, let me switch gears here. Now wait a minute, man. Are we just gonna not mention the fact that there's orange on this side of the guitar right here? Yeah, we're not gonna mention that. Okay, well, it occurs to me, so what I did is I've sanded the front with 320, and man, I guess I'm using too much of this stuff because I am really having to get into sanding. But I think I started to say in the other video and lost my train of thought that, you know, nobody in the videos that I watched actually showed them sanding after the AquaCoat coat. They just mentioned that they did it. So I don't know how they did it. Either that or they fast forwarded through it, so they were doing it like, you know, the Flash. And so I couldn't tell how hard they were pressing or not pressing. The only person who actually sanded in real time in their video is a cat that I can't remember. I'll try to drop it in the description if you want to see somebody do this, I guess, right. Because this ain't it. Clearly. Anyway, that cat put the AquaCoat on, let it cure, and then he had 220 grit on an orbital sander and just laid it on there and just went across the board like, I don't know, 8 times. And it was like perfect. So I don't know if the amount of pressure I'm applying is right or wrong. I guess the proof is going to be in the pudding. I am going to AquaCoat this one more time after all this dries out real good, and then we're going to see what we get. But I just thought it was interesting that, you know, man, maybe the aggressiveness that I have to have with the 320 sandpaper equals what his orbital sander was doing with 220. I don't know. So this is a learning experience for me, man. Drop it in the comments, man. I mean, I know that I don't want to sand it all away because that defeats the purpose, but I don't know how to get all of it off without being a little bit more heavy-handed with the sanding. Yes, I put mineral spirits on this and the guitar is drying as we speak. After I sand, I always use the mineral spirits just because I think you got to get the dust off the guitar. Maybe that's part of my problem. I don't know. You tell me in the comments.